Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about zodiac signs and aging. And yes, it does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. And I'm going to go in chronological order, starting with Aries and ending with Pisces. Now, with Aries, they may maintain good health in old age and have the tendency to stay slim. They could have very good vitality, and they just like to be active. And this is a person that could maybe be very active even in their latter years. Now, the only thing I think with Aries, though, what would concern me with them is that they is overexertion, perhaps when they reach an older age, and that could be a danger. And they have to have enough discipline to know when they need to maybe relax a little bit more than usual. So I think that's something to consider as far as Aries goes, and during as far as when they reach the latter stages in life. Now, as far as Taurus, well, Taurus is, for some reason they seem to age very well. They seem to take longer than the average person as far as graying, as far as the hair goes, in terms of becoming gray, and maybe the Venus rulership could help this because of the beauty perhaps associated with the sign. And despite often being very industrious and hardworking, I think Taurus knows how to relax at times, and I think maybe a lot of it is attributed to that. They strive often for a peaceful like existence, and I think in Taurus generally being a fixed sign doesn't have a propensity or proclivity to worry, and I do believe that helps them as well. Now, as far as Gemini goes, well, Gemini can have that propensity to age gracefully as well. Could be very youthful, whimsical, and vivacious. I'm thinking that maybe Mercury, the rulership, may have something to do with this. Being young at heart, I think, is very strong with them. And the youthful outlook maybe plays a role in the very often youthful complexion of these people. And staying young at heart equates often to a rather youthful appearance, I think, for Gemini people. And another thing is that next sign I'm going to talk about is Cancer. And now another sign, I think, and I don't really, it's almost inexplicable to me because I really don't quite understand why Cancer is a sign that can age gracefully, because they do have that tendency, I think, to worry to some degree. But it seems like they don't really, they're kind of like Taurus, they're kind of slow in graying, I've noticed with the hair, and they have this tendency to really have youthful complexion and countenance even at a rather older age. And Cancer, I think, what they have to concern themselves with, they might have that tendency to gain weight. And I think a lot of that is attributed to, I think Cancer can have a very strong water retention. And that is a thing to look at as far as when they reach an older age, I believe. Now, I think also they have a strong Cancer is often strongly about family, and it's often could be paramount in their life scheme. And I think family can help them stay as far as feeling keeping them as far as vibrant in their as far as the older age goes. Now Leo. Now Leo can be very dignified and really have an abundance of pride. And this sign may really detest growing older, whether they acknowledge it on the surface or not. And I think they could have the strong propensity to heart issues because that's the part anatomically that's connected with Leo. So that is something that they need to consider perhaps as they get older as far as the heart goes. And similar to Aries in the sense that the overexertion thing, in that they can't when you hit a certain age, you have to be cognizant of knowing that you can't always do the things you did as efficiently as you did when you were younger, and don't let pride get in the way of that or in conflict with that way of thinking. Now, another thing is that Leos can also be very extravagant, and they also need to be careful that they make sure they have enough as far as the nest egg goes, so to speak, for their retirement and their future, as far as retirement goes, if applicable. So, anyway. Now, the next sign, Virgo. Well, Virgo may often be exceptionally healthy because of that correlation with health, as far as they have that strong affinity for health. And really, they can be strong about nutrition and can very often be very health conscious even in their latter years and be healthy for this reason. It could be the person that still works out vigorously even at an older age, for example, and is following a strong health regime even in their older years. And the thing about it is, though, Virgo can have that proclivity toward worry, and that is something they need to guard against during the period when they're in their latter years, and even throughout life if they can, but even, maybe even more during the latter part of their life. Now, the next sign. Well, Libra, I think a lot of this is attributed to the Venus rulership, similar to Taurus, is that they seem to retain a good complexion and countenance even into their latter years. This is peace is strongly associated with Libra, and maybe because they strive for this harmonious and tranquil like existence. I think maybe that's what plays a role, maybe to some degree, in them not aging very rapidly, even as far as their elder years go. Libras often are blessed with an even temperament as well, and I think that can play a role as well. They try not to let too many things really upset them, or at least show on the surface as far as that goes. Now, and I think with as far as Libra goes, in their older years, perhaps because they're very relationship oriented, they may still like to go out and be sociable and exchange intellectual ideas and concepts, and that could be something that could keep them young at heart, at least during that period. Now, as far as Scorpio goes, and I don't want to sound like I'm being overly derogatory or negative about Scorpio, but I think Scorpio, out of all the signs, maybe they may not age as gracefully as the others. And I think a lot of it is because they seem to fight this perpetual battle a lot, and they go through Scorpio, about something about them. They seem to often go through more trials and tribulations on average as opposed to the other zodiac signs. And I think the life can often be harder, can be a lot of upheavals, and it could be crisis ridden. So for those reasons, I see this. But however, Scorpios will fight to the end with anything, and that's including death. They are fighters, and they really have that inordinate willpower, as I've talked about in other videos. So that is something to look at as far as Scorpio goes. And Scorpio is a battler all the way, no matter what it is. So now Sagittarius. Now Sagittarius, I think, because of their exuberant, expansive, and effervescent nature, this may help them at least be somewhat youthful in their latter years. The weight gain needs to be guarded against because it is ruled by Jupiter, and they can have that propensity perhaps to gain weight. So that is something they need to look at. And Sagittarius is often like an athletic sign, or at least a sign that will go, if they're not, the Sagittarius is not athletic, they often are interested or enamored with the outdoors. So perhaps even being active somewhat in some sports, or doing outdoor activities could often be essential for this person in their latter years in their life. Now, Capricorn. I think Capricorn is very interesting because Capricorn, as far as their aging, I think could be very paradoxical. It's ruled by Saturn, so the longevity is very good. And it wouldn't surprise me, I don't have the statistics on this, but Capricorn, as far as at least I don't know about the moon, but the moon perhaps could play a role, because this is pertaining to the sun, moon, or ascendant, but maybe even more so with the sun and the ascendant, maybe that it could be the longest living sign. It would not surprise me. I think with Capricorn, what's paradoxical is that they could look older and have an older complexion when they're at a younger age, but as they grow older, it seems like they really become more youthful, in contrast to what they should appear to be. So they actually may age gracefully, but when they start out early in life, they might have that tendency to actually look older because this is very mature. Capricorn is known to be very mature and could be really well beyond their years at an early age. So I think that might have a little, maybe that plays a role in this. But it would not surprise me if on average this was the longest living zodiac sign. Now, Aquarius is interesting, being co-ruled by Saturn. It would not surprise me that maybe they're right up there as far as one of the longer living signs on average. Now, Aquarius has, as I've stated in previous videos, has the universal friend syndrome. And I think it's important for Aquarius in their latter years, perhaps, to still be making friends, making acquaintances, doing maybe their selfless humanitarian acts. And I think this will keep them in a happy state and really keep them young at heart. And this will help them during their latter years. And the thing, then last but not least, I'm going to talk about Pisces. Now, Pisces needs to be concerned with weight gain and lethargy in their latter years, and they are not always known to be exceptionally active. They could be somewhat sedentary, and I think with Pisces has to be careful as far as that weight gain goes. And really, and it's also important that the sign Pisces themselves can be somewhat impressionable, so it's important for them in their latter years to be with the right contemporaries and really be judicious of who they're with. There's people with them that actually care about them and are the right people to be around. Because Pisces, more than the other signs, is really more impressionable and could have that proclivity to draw in the wrong people, which could be detrimental to them. So I think that's important to look at. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for zodiac signs and aging. And stay tuned next time where I'll be continuing my series on zodiac sign compatibility. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.